Let's talk to Dr. Rakib Ehsan. He's a social policy analyst and writer. Good morning to you.
Morning, Julie. How are you?
Very well indeed. Well, I mean, busy apparently, living in a horrible, terrible country where no one is free and happy and the likes. An extraordinary report that's come out. The Guardian had on the front page of their papers yesterday, I think it was, saying that we are just not close to being a racially just society. More than a third of people from ethnic and religious minorities have experienced racially motivated physical or verbal abuse, according to this huge comprehensive survey of race inequality, basically biggest for more than a quarter of a century. And they conclude that basically ministers need to tackle substantial ethnic inequalities found across a range of British life and institutions. And they've detailed evidence of discrimination and unfairness, which directly challenges the findings of the government-commissioned research course by Tony Sewell. What do you make of this?
Well, Julie, I think the one thing I'll say about the report, it is a huge report. It's no surprise that the Guardian led with these findings by saying that we are some way from being a racially just society. Now, when we look at how our public institutions work, I think there's definitely a discussion to be had in terms of how responsive and effective they are when it comes to addressing the diversity of needs and concerns that come with having an ever-diversifying population. But I think when it comes to this issue of racism and prejudice, I think the one thing that I'd like to see when I actually read the full report is to what extent it discusses those factors and dynamics within ethnic and racial minorities. Julia, we previously discussed the Leicester disorders, which took place over August and September 2022. And my argument would be that many of these tensions, many of these prejudices, they actually exist within and between ethnic and religious minorities.
And that, again, and this is something that no one likes to talk about. Yeah, that's the uncomfortable bit. But what I find fascinating is, I mean, one attack, one bit of verbal abuse, certainly physical abuse, is too many, always. I mean, under no circumstances ever acceptable. But I think it's extraordinary that two-thirds of people from ethnic religious minorities in this country have never in their life experienced verbal or physical abuse because of their ethnicity or religious views. I mean, as I say, one person is too many, but that is something to be celebrated, surely, that we're on the right track. Things have surely changed, since the 1970s.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that the coverage of this report, for me, it taps into those doom and gloom narratives that we've seen for some time. I think that it depends on how you interpret the figures. I actually think some of the figures in some ways are quite encouraging, that a majority of ethnic minorities not reporting those kind of experiences. If you compare that to some of the overt forms of racism which were seen across much of Britain decades ago, that is a significant improvement. I've often made the argument that for all our flaws, Britain remains one of the most successful examples of a multiracial democracy in the advanced world.
We shouldn't ignore the bad things, but we should also celebrate the good things.